Well, hello and welcome to the Waking Up Spiritually podcast. It's such a pleasure to have you here with us for the final episode of 2024. And I'm Wendy Rose Williams. I am a past life energy healer, and I help people release pain, anxiety, depression, and that stuck energy that's just holding you back from being able to enjoy your life and feel happy and healthy, and that your life has a wonderful purpose and that you're able to enjoy that purpose. And my website is wendyrosewilliams.com. And I'd like to introduce my co-host, and he's going to introduce our wonderful guest speaker today. We've got an annual tradition of having a marvelous speaker for this episode of the year. So I'll turn it over to my wonderful co-host, Gregg Kirk.
Hi, everyone. I'm Gregg Kirk. You can come to my website at greggkirk.com. It's spelled GREGGKIRK.com. I'm an energy healer worker, Lyme disease advocate, and I work mainly with people who have Lyme disease, but also not. So I help people with herbal treatments on my own website, but also on a specific Lyme disease website called LymeRecoveryClinic.com. I also help people with other chronic illnesses besides Lyme disease through energy healing and other herbal treatments. So you can come to the greggkirk.com website for that. I also run online group healing circles. And this Saturday, I'm doing what we're calling a group salt circle. It's in a salt cave in Woodbury, Connecticut, this Saturday, December 14th at 4:30 p.m. So if you're interested, you're in the local area, just click on the events link on my website and come join us. It's selling out fast, so you'll have to act quickly. So anyway, today, like Wendy said, this is our annual tradition. We started this, I think this is our third time, I believe, with astrologist Debbie Buss. And Debbie is from the UK. So we're broadcasting a little earlier than usual live with her, but Debbie is what type of astrology?
Sidereal
Right.
astrology.
So,
And
yes.
well,
So,
numerologist, and she's got a lot of other great things in her background.
yes. So she's going to be doing some predictions based on the movements of the stars and the heavenly bodies for next year. So this is the first time we've projected before. Usually we do it in January. We're projecting earlier this year. So let us, without further ado, let's bring Debbie in and have her get started. Here she is. Yay, Debbie.
So welcome, Debbie. It's such a pleasure to have you here with us. And Gregg is going to bring up a PowerPoint, and you can start walking us through what your thoughts are regarding 2025.
I know. Couldn't you believe it? Again, thank you very much for having me both. It's been, I think we've done this now the last 4 years, haven't we? It's been,
Yes, you were our very first guest speaker because
oh
typically
wow.
it's just Gregg and I together with whatever our guides would like to bring through. But it's just so many people have uh, an understandable interest in astrology and numerology and what's coming up.
Yeah.
So it's just become a fun annual tradition for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And what a year we've got in store. What a
Okay.
few years we've got in store. This is just the start.
Right.
Hmm.
So let's jump into it. What are you seeing coming up in 2025, Debbie?
Okay, well, as we move into 2025, first of all, we kind of look at the numerology. It's kind of we're going into a nine universal year. And with that, the nine is all about kind of endings. So if you kind of look back for the last sort of 8 years, what has happened over the years, yourself, personal, collective, you get to see a picture then of kind of where we are today, and moving forward in January, especially 2025, it'll be a nine. So as we start January, we have the sun in Sagittarius. Now, I want to kind of put in a little bit that just in case people might think, oh, hang on a minute, isn't it the sun going to be in Capricorn? No, my basis that I work on is sidereal astrology. So I work on real-time constellations where the sun is now, We haven't even got into Sagittarius yet. The sun has just left Scorpio, and we're now currently in that transition of the 13th zodiac of Fucus. And this is the kind of the juxtaposition between Scorpio, Fucus, then we get Sagittarius. So it doesn't move into Sagittarius till around the 18th or 19th of December. And then it will stay in Sagittarius then till around about the 21st of January. So just in case anybody's thinking, hang on a minute, what do you mean we're in Sag? So we will move it. We'll start 2025 with the sun in Sagittarius, and the moon will also be in Sagittarius. So last year, the moon was also in a fire sign. So again, we're kind of this momentum of starting the year with a quick fire energy. And Sagittarius is a sign that's full of optimism. It is that truth seeker in all of us that wants to kind of search for that truth. And I think we live in a time at the moment where everything is 24/7. It's fast. We really don't know where this truth is coming from. My truth might be very different to yours, both yourself and Wendy. And we have to kind of look at, okay, what is the truth that we each are seeking within us? And Sagittarius is very much about that. It is about shining that bright light on the truth. And we have Mercury now is the planet of the mind, communication, how we take in information and how we share that. It's going to be in the sign of Ophiuchus, which is the kind of the healer. Now, Ophiuchus is the only out of all of the zodiac, each one is kind of representation of a symbol. It's very symbolic in that essence. You have Cancer, the sign of Cancer is a crab and things, and then you have Sagittarius is the kind of the centaur, the horse, and Libra is the scales. Now, Ophiuchus is the only one that is kind of representation of a living person. Ophiuchus is a representation of the healer, Asclepius, the Greek healer, and it was all about healing, but also that kind of immortality, and he's also kind of linked with Imhotep, the Egyptian god of medicine. So Ophiuchus is ruled by Chiron, so it's very much about this healing. So there is a sense of, as we move into 2025, it's a start of a healing journey. And again, the number is 9, which is all about healing, compassion, forgiveness, letting go. So if we kind of look at what these planets are I kind of see them as a chessboard. They're there ready, starting to kind of put their places in. Because we also have Mars. Mars is currently in retrograde. It's just gone retrograde. So it's in the sign of Cancer, again, another healing sign. Venus will be in Aquarius, Jupiter and Uranus are also in retrograde in Taurus, and Saturn is still in Aquarius. So I've kind of put on the bottom of here, 2025, we see the start of a beautiful combination of transformation, stability, emotion, and insight. And I feel that is the theme moving forward for 2025 so far. How does that sound?
That
Wow.
sounds fantastic. I just wanted to make a note that, for people looking at the slides, when you have an RX next to one of the planets, that means retrograde, right?
That's right. Yes.
Okay.
And the retrograde sign actually is if we go back centuries ago when there was no sort of divination between kind of medicine and astrology, doctors had to train in astrology in order to become a general practitioner. And they still use the RX today in the sign for medication prescription.
Diagnosis.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's very interesting kind of when you go back to the history of kind of how the healing, and especially the Fucus, which is the healer in all of us. And when Ptolemy in 240 AD decided to kind of create this 360-degree 12-house wheel to make it easier, he decided to move Ophiuchus out because 13 doesn't go into 12.
Oh.
So he moved Ophiuchus out, but the planets actually go through the constellation of Ophiuchus, and it's right at the bottom of Scorpio. It's kind of like the boot of Scorpio. So
Wow.
yeah.
Fascinating. I'm glad I asked that question. That's fascinating.
And it's also just worth noting, as you started off, Debbie, and this leads right into your next slide, is that there's different systems of
Yeah.
astrology. So walk us through a little bit more about the system that you use.
Yeah, I mean, I was trained. I mean, I've been doing this for nearly 30 years. So I was trained in Western tropical astrology, which is pretty much what is the mainstream of astrology. And even though I knew about sidereal years ago, there was never anything out there book-wise. It was very much this domination of Western astrology. So that's what I trained in, and then I specialized in medical astrology. But it was around 2022. Well, it was around 2019, and I started to get kind of like a bit of a distaste in my mouth in kind of how astrology was being presented by well-known astrologers, and I found that it was very much a case of fear. There was very much of a fear sort of base around it. I mean, we all knew something big was coming in 2020, but we didn't kind of think it was going to be a global pandemic. But as I said, we all knew, and I think I remember being on a webinar. I wasn't sure if it was this one or if it was one I did with, I can't remember, but I did say at the time in 2019 that if you didn't have a bricks and mortar kind of, you didn't have a business online, you need to get that business online by 2020 because of what I could see was coming. And this was even before I kind of switched over to sidereal astrology. And then around 2022, there was a podcast I was going to listen to, and it's very interesting how we kind of our subconscious sometimes says, "Oh, you don't need to listen to that." That inner saboteur. No, don't bother with that podcast. But I thought, no, I'm going to listen to this podcast, and there was a sidereal astrologer on there, and it was within the minute he started talking about it, there was something within me. We all get those jigsaw piece puzzles, those inner clicks. And I knew there and then, in that moment, that I had to change my entire practice over. And I did. In that second, I knew that there was no way that maybe it's the Sagittarius in me, I don't know, but there was no way, that truth seeker within me, that once I saw what I saw, there was no going back. And I think sometimes when we have that awareness, and I always say awareness is key. Once you have that awareness of something, it's very difficult to kind of go back to it. Uh, and I did. I changed my entire practice over to sidereal, and the more that I work with it, and the more that I work with, I'm a big fan of eclipses, but I also love history. And I kind of, the more you go back and you look at kind of what's happening in the world, what's happening in the world now, it you can't make this stuff up. You just can't. And I kind of look at it more with what's happening with sidereal, because it's that the ancient accuracy, and that's what it is. Tropical astrology is based on a fixed based system. So the 12 houses that you see, the chart that you just saw, is fixed. So it's fixed to 30 degrees. And with tropical, they tend to base it on the when Aries reaches 0 degrees on March the 21st. That's when they start it. But actually it doesn't, because when it's March 21st, the sun is still clearly in Pisces. It hasn't even got anywhere near Aries. So there's a huge kind of difference when you start to see what is happening now when you look up compared to astrologers who maybe haven't put the time in, but they tend to just copy and paste. And that is a real bugbear of mine, because they're not fact checking, they're not getting the right information, they're just putting it out there. And like you said earlier on, Wendy, there's a lot more people wanting are more, they want to know astrology, they want to understand it. So if they're not getting the information that's factual, then how can then they can't, to me, then how can they take
How
that
can it be
that
useful?
away? Yeah, exactly. So that's why I changed my entire practice there and then. And I've never gone back. Yeah.
Nice.
Wonderful.
Thank you for that. Great explanation.
Okay, so like I said, 2025 is a 9 universal year. And I always think of a year of a word. Last year, well, we're still in 2024. If you think it's gone, no, but we're still, those hanging on those last couple of weeks, was very much about the magician, and because it was an 8 universal year, and the number 8 is all about integrity, values. And the word that came up to me for that was a sort of magician, what you kind of bring from the heavens and you bring down into form, the alchemy of it. Now, 9 is very different to 8. Whereas 8 is all about our worth, our self-worth, our values, is very much linked to money, business, finance. Now, that's not going to go away, but what is coming in is the way that we do business moving forward. The way that we do business now is not about that fear-based marketing that used to be. It's about compassion, having your client almost kind of be a mirror of you, because your business is not a separation of who you are. Your business is an extension of who you are. And anything that's going on with you on the outside is going to affect you on the inside, vice versa. So the clients that come to you, 9 times out of 10 are usually a part within you that might you need to look at. So as we move forward, it's all about that spiritual connection as we move into this community of compassion. And so the word that kind of came to me for this for next year is elevate, because of the way, and we'll see later on, but the way the planets are working at the moment, it is about elevating. Now, if you think of one of my great teachers, Caroline Miss, she has kind of a diagram of an apartment building, and she says if you look at somebody from the ground floor, they're only going to see that perspective of what the ground floor is showing them. Now, as you move up the building and you go up to the top of the penthouse, you're going to have a very different view from what that person on the ground floor is going to have. You're going to have a completely different perspective. You're going to elevate with it. So this is what this year is all about, is about building and healing together as one. COVID did a very good job of separation. Now it's a time of building those small communities, bringing back those communities together, helping your fellow business owner, helping your fellow client, your customer, your friends, family. And as we come into the holiday seasons, it always kind of brings up all those wounds of, oh no, I'm going to see so and so. I only see them every year at Christmas time. So it's about kind of elevating up, looking at from, if you were up on the top of that penthouse, you would have a completely different perspective of that person if you were kind of seeing them on the ground level, floor level. Does that make sense? Is it?
Does. That makes perfect sense.
It reminds me of the map of human consciousness that Dr. David Hawkins did, that was created in the book Power versus Force. So he maps the emotions and the vibrations, and they're in a hierarchy, and at the
Yeah.
bottom on the ground floor is shame and suicidal
Hmm.
feelings, and then it goes all the way up to love and compassion, through a series of hierarchies from, anger is better than shame, but then, acceptance is better than that. And then compassion, and then love. And then above, there's something above love, which is, the understanding the unity,
Yeah.
universal consciousness. So yeah, when you're on that top floor, you realize there's no separation. You are me, I am you. We are all
Yeah.
part of the creator. It's
Exactly. We're all
yeah,
one. And, what is in one is in the whole. And I think this is what's kind of, happening, and what I'm seeing here in the UK, also kind of what I'm seeing sort of worldwide. It's about coming
yeah,
together to heal and build.
right.
And like I said, it's a time to heal old wounds and construct a future rooted in compassion and wisdom. And
Love it.
that is pretty much the theme of 2025 and moving forward.
Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So these are some of the words that we've got for the number 9. Like I said, compassion, humanitarian, service, truth seeker. because the number nine in the astrology chart sits in the house of spirituality, the truth seeker. It's ruled by Sagittarius and Jupiter. So it's always that kind of international, global, and wisdom and teacher. It's the teacher in all of us. Philanthropy, connection, empathy, unconditional love. We are all one community and love thy neighbor. And there's probably so many more words that can kind of be comparison to the number nine, but it's also about endings and beginnings. And if it's a kind of continuous circle, there is never really an ending if you think about it, because it's a continuous journey. So it's about breaking down those old patterns, those unhealthy, toxic patterns, and actually coming from a place of compassion. When you look at one of the biggest gifts that I have as an astrologer is that you see somebody's birth chart, but you get to see the soul of the chart. You get to see who that person is at such a soul level, and that it gives you permission, it gives you compassion to have, what is that soul's journey here in this lifetime to experience. And especially that love thy neighbor part of it. And I think we've taken a lot of kind of the holy words and we've kind of chucked them out. And we don't use the word kind of sin, or even down to kind of if you kind of look at the chakras. Now, the chakras of kind of like the heart chakra is all about kind of communion, but it's also kind of like that sacred marriage that you have within yourself. And number nine is about understanding that true power that each and every one of us has, this unique power within us. And if we realized how much power that we had within us, we would never give it out. We would never just, and it's not about that ego side of it. It's about truly understanding that we each have the power to heal, but we also have the power to destroy with our words. And the number nine is very much about that. And it's also very big for next year as well, is watch your words. Because like that alchemy within all of us, we all have the power to create and destroy. But how you use your words, you can kind of almost uplift somebody just through saying hello, just greeting, even if you don't feel it yourself, just kind of that. And I find every morning when I go for a walk, the amount of people that are so connected to their phone and they're not even looking up, they're not appreciating, the beautiful view that we're very lucky to live by. And I do think, oh, just get off your phone, you know. But that's the technology in it. That's the way that we are at the moment. We're very connected to the phone.
Yeah, yeah.
And it is a lifeline for some people, and I totally get that.
Well,
Uh,
it's a tool. It can be good or bad, just like the
yeah,
words. Like you were
yeah.
saying, your words can be good or bad. Anything in life can be good or bad. But yeah, no, I mean, that's one of the four agreements is be immaculate with your words
Hmm.
because of their power. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I watched before I go into this, I'll tell you quickly. I recently attended a webinar with I'm not sure if you know her, Wendy, Nancy Rhyme. She had an NDE in 2014, and it was a pretty bad accident that she was involved
Yes.
in.
Yes.
Yeah. So she's recently done a webinar explaining about it. And Nancy was an atheist. She didn't believe in any of it. She didn't always start like that. She kind of grew up in a kind of a very Catholic, Roman Catholic home. But as she grew older, she kind of got disillusioned with the church, like most people do. And she kind of didn't want anything to do with it. And she kind of pushed it away. Well, when she had her NDE, and she was kind of on the other side, she had what's called a life review. And she was saying that most NDs have experienced this, or if they have some sort of life review. And with hers, it was kind of like she was shown by her guide to put her hand in almost kind of a ripple of water. And as she touched this ripple of water, all these images started to show up of her life, basically. And what her guide told her was that you will get almost kind of, it splits into 50. So you get your, what you did good and what you need to kind of work on, sort of thing. And one of the things, and she's had so many accolades and she's done loads, lots of degrees. So she thought she was going to have all this recognition up there now. And there was none of that. What was showing for her was just the kindness she showed. A shopkeeper who was having, a really tough time with a customer, and she kind of said to her, "Look, do you know what? You're doing a really good job. Keep going." And it was that ripple effect of how that customer service person then went home, and instead of taking her day job with her, she actually went home and read her children a book. And then Nancy got to experience the feeling that she had with that woman, how that woman felt. And then she got brought in then to a second one where when she was younger and her sister came into her room, and she said she just went for it. She gave her what for. She wanted to hurt her with words. And what they kind of said to her was, this isn't about judgment. This is about, it's about how you use your words. And when you are manipulative with your words, when you purposely go out of your way to hurt another person through your words, it's all recorded. It's all recorded. So we talk about Big Brother watching us, but it's not the government. It's another Big Brother watching us. And I was kind of, when I watched that, oh my gosh, I really kind of it hit home to me where, even just we all get bad moods, we all kind of say things, we all and I think of the times that I did say and I meant to hurt somebody with my words, that kind of thing. And then even just saying hello to somebody, who has had a really bad day. And I think this is the essence of moving forward. This isn't just about 2025. This is about moving forward. It is about that, we have the power to uplift so many people just through kindness and compassion. And these two, Saturn and Neptune. Now, Saturn will move into Pisces around mid-June. Now, these two have not been together since 1988 when they were in Sagittarius. Now, when I did a little bit of digging on when they were in Sagittarius, over here in the UK, we had, is it bird flu? We had salmonella, we had outbreaks, we had lots of kind of viral things that were happening. And because Sagittarius is very much about spread, it's kind of international because there was a lot of planets in Sagittarius when COVID hit. And you can see the chart of when COVID came in, and it was a lot of Sag energy. Now in Pisces is very much about compassion. Again, it's that humanitarian energy within all of us. But Pisces can go two ways. It can either go full on denial and escapism, and it can go down the route of alcohol, gambling, anything to numb that pain. Because Piscean energy feels everything. It is that psychic sponge. It can walk into a room and it can feel just the energy of the room, and it soaks it up, and then it feels that it's their fault. They feel that it's their fault because they've walked into the room, that kind of thing. Yeah. Or it can go full on spirituality. So it can kind of go down that woo-woo route full on. So there's two ways that Pisceans can go. But so this is where we have to kind of look at the boundary energy. But it's also very much about dreaming. Now, Saturn doesn't like being in Pisces because Saturn is all about structure, timing. Pisces is not about that. Pisces just wants to dream and drift and do its own thing. Saturn wants, no, I want routine. I want, regulation. So the beauty of these two planets, especially Neptune, which is the planet of illusion. And when Neptune was first kind of discovered, this is where we started to have photography and film. So it's that kind of energy of kind of the illusion, you escape isn't into the film, and so there'll be a lot more, I feel, kind of kind of like the films of Avatar and all those kind of escapisms and that kind of technology that, AI is going to be off the scale. And I will say that if you're not using AI in your business now, you need to be, because you're going to be left behind. And there's lots of kind of technology, software, especially like ChatGPT. I mean, that has been for the last 2 years, that has kind of flown. Um, but yeah, it can kind of really help your business. And I tend to use ChatGPT now more than I would Google, because I find with ChatGPT, it gives you references. You have to double check what it's giving you, mind. Like anything that you put on the internet, you have to do your fact checking. But I find that if there's anything that I'm looking at, it will give me references. It will give me point of where I need to look further. So yeah, if any businesses out there aren't using some sort of AI software, they really need to get on board with that and help simplify their business. You know, I've seen demonstrations of ChatGPT basically write a whole course material. You put in the what you need it to do, and it's literally in seconds. So it's going to save a lot of people a lot of time, but it's not going to take away from that human experience. AI, it's never going to take away from that kind of emotions, unless they train it to, so
But
which
yeah.
might be coming,
Yeah,
which,
so I have mixed feelings about AI because I'm a
yeah,
musician and an artist, and
yeah,
it's being used to generate images
yeah,
from input that are a couple of years ago wasn't doing a very good job. Now it's doing a very good job,
yeah. It's
and
frightening, Greg. Yeah,
songs
to
are
what
being
it,
written as well. You know,
yeah,
so I don't like that, but no, you're absolutely right. It can write a PowerPoint deck, for you, just giving a little bit of input, and
yeah,
it'll have it in seconds,
yeah.
with the slide,
And
the graphics and everything. So it's incredible to, again, what we said earlier. It's like words, or any other tool that you use. It can be good or bad.
exactly.
Use it
And just like the
properly.
internet.
Wisely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the same with all kind of AI. You use it to your advantage. You
Mhm.
know, if it helps kind of a business streamline their business, help them get started and things like that, then yeah, use it. But don't take it literally. Make sure you are getting your documents checked. I would definitely not advocate you write up a business document or contract for clients and things like that. Yes, you can do it, but then I would get that contract checked by a solicitor or lawyer, or do the get your things checked, but use it for kind of quickly. And this is what this kind of energy of Pisces is all about. It's all about kind of blending the dreams and with reality, whereas Saturn is about kind of, yes, it's all okay having these great big ideas and dreams, but you need to bring them down into kind of reality. We're still living, as much as we want to be up there, we're still living in a planet that we need to kind of work with as
Right.
well.
Right.
So again, so Saturn moves into Pisces, and then we have Gemini. Now, when we look at kind of business charts, we look at these two planets, we look at where they are, because that sets the stage and the theme of what's coming for the year. Now, Saturn is currently in Aquarius and Jupiter is in Taurus. So we've kind of had this almost kind of air and earth energy. So it's that alchemy of ideas, innovation, AI, those kind of. Aquarius energy is very much about forward momentum, humanitarian energies, whereas Taurus is about bringing it down, values, grounding, that kind of thing. Now, Jupiter moves into Gemini. Now, this isn't a great place for Jupiter because it rules Sagittarius. So, Gemini, How can I describe Gemini? Again, like Pisces energy, it can go two ways. You can either have the chatterbox or you can have somebody that just wants to read, study. So it's those kind of Gemini is that quick wind. It's that curiosity. So I feel moving into 2025, there's going to be lots more advantage in kind of innovation, tech, like I said earlier on, AI, dreams. But you also have to watch your boundaries as well. Don't go too much up in the elevation. Kind of bring it down as well. Because I say, these aren't the places that they like to be, Saturn and Jupiter. So they will really reel you back in. So again, it's going to be advancements for tech. Um, do you know, I even had this vision of there's a couple of films doing it now at the moment where they're having these AI robots in the house as servants,
Mhm.
as housekeepers. And I do see that moving forward. I mean, we've got those robots vacuum cleaners at the moment. So
Yeah.
who knows? Who
Um,
knows what's in store? And then we've got the good old Mercury retrograde. So these go in kind of again, Pisces, Leo, and Scorpio. And everybody panics when they get to a Mercury retrograde. We're currently in one at the moment. Mercury retrogrades are a great chance to completely rethink and redo. It's about getting, I'm currently writing a book and I have a due date. Wendy will probably know all about this, but I have a due date January the 20th. And I've written my book three times during these last kind of couple of months. And I've gone back to something that I started at the beginning of the year.
mm.
And this is what Mercury retrograde is all about. It's about picking up where you kind of left things off and actually looking at them with a new pair of eyes because sometimes we can be so suction focused on what we have in front of us. It's nice actually to put something aside and actually come back at it at a later date. And yeah, so that's kind of, I haven't told my editor yet. So yeah. We'll see.
Yeah.
And again, so we've also got some changes with the nodes. The nodes are kind of very much linked to the moon. And what I found was interesting, they move into the nodal axes of Aquarius and Leo. And the last time that they were in Aquarius and Leo was in 1988 and in 2007. And in 2007, we saw an increase in technology, science. NASA landed its spacecraft on Mars, and Steve Jobs introduced the first iPhone. Tesla unveiled its newest electric car. So, as I can say, it's things are going to kind of start. So anybody that is kind of, I would say, an Aquarius sun, Leo sun, Taurus sun, or a Scorpio sun, this will be 2025 will be your year to really kind of make those momentums and move forward.
How so?
Well, as I said, Aquarius energy is all about innovation. It loves to take take something that is in a box, but actually let's dismantle the box. Let's actually break down the box. Let's get rid of the box. It's very much about that sort of let's see what we can take. And because for the last probably 2 years, the eclipses have been in the axis of Pisces and Virgo. So it's very much about that Piscean energy of spirituality, whereas Virgonian energy is very much routines, focus, health. Now, Leo energy again is it's all that about that kind of courage. It's a big heart, Leo energy. It loves to be center stage, but again, like Gemini, sometimes they don't like to be center stage. They like to do things behind the scenes. So I feel moving into 2025, it's about stepping out of your comfort zone, really kind of making your mark, putting your mark on something that you might have thought, I don't know if I can do that. But actually, really believe in yourself and do something that you've always wanted to do and take that leap of faith because this is the year. Because, as I say, especially a nine universal year, it's all about letting go. Look back over those last 8 years, because as we move into 2026, then we start that cycle again. We move into a one. So again, it's all about that energy of, okay, let's throw caution to the wind. Let's just do something bloody amazing and see what comes from
I love
it.
it.
So again, these are the lunar dates. So yeah, the change starts around kind of mid 2025. So we'll start to see, and when we have these eclipses, especially the solar one, that's a total solar eclipse. So like we had this year, again, I think it's the Pisces one, and we have then what I find with sidereal astrology, whereas we would normally have a lunar eclipse would be on a full moon, and it would always be wherever that full moon is. It tends to link sometimes to the south node. So south node is all about past. So full moons are about letting go. So south node is about letting go of past experiences, but also a lot of I've been doing a lot of work on kind of family constellations, whereas we feel that we come into this lifetime and we have a belief system, say a family belief of, or I never make money because nobody in my family ever makes money. So you tend to kind of take on that belief system. So what you find is you're almost putting yourself in that fate position of something is not going to work out because you've set that intention. I never make money, so my family has never made money, so we've all gonna follow that suit. So this energy of South Node is actually looking back at the past, looking back at past family, ancestral patterns, and actually, we all rewrite our story. We all are born into this lifetime. We've all incarnated into this lifetime. We chose our date, we chose our time, place, we chose our parents, we chose who we were going to be born into this lifetime. So it's about this journey. It's not about our family past. It's about understanding who we are in this lifetime, because I was looking at my grandparents' charts today, and I've got so many planets similar to my grandparents, and it's very much that epigenetics energy of you. You tend to get a lot of your planets are very similar to your grandparents. And my grandfather he always had businesses, but he always also kind of let them go, let them fail. And there was always this mindset within me early on in my business kind of career of, oh, it didn't work out for him. Is it going to work out for me? That kind of thing. But it's actually about no, making that decision. I create my own reality today. Mm.
So true.
Right. Okay. So yeah. So this is what I wanted to kind of really kind of focus on as well. Like we've talked about it a lot. Is about understanding your inner power, but also your external support. The power you crave is not something to be acquired, but to be realized. Prayer and self-reflection. And prayer, I feel, is when people talk about spirituality, they talk about it through a religion standpoint. Spirituality has got nothing to do with religion. Whether you have your belief in religion or not, spirituality is about what your soul journey, I feel anyway, and what you've incarnated in this lifetime. And I'm a big advocate for prayer. I did it as a child, and I've really kind of these last few years have really kind of gone back into it. And within me, it's about having that faith and trust that whatever is happening outside my life, I can't always explain it, but I always know that everything is going to work out. Whether it's going to work out to what I want it to work out is another thing, but it's always going to work out for my highest good. And this is what I feel 2025, the energy of that moving forward is about having that faith and trust and belief in something. Even when you say to people, what do you believe in? They tend to not know what they believe in, but they will tell you what they don't believe in. So I always say, just think of something, make something up, but it's about having a belief system and sticking with it. Just like I had that belief system in 2022, and that instant reaction was, no, I know I'm on this path to follow this way, and just keep going with that. And this is what I've kind of put in here is about, prayer and self-reflection, and allow to trust in that within you, that tribe, community spirit, love thy neighbor. Here in the UK, this last weekend, we've had some really pretty bad storms, and a lot of thousands of people's homes have been without power, and which is not something that happens very often in the UK, but when it does, the whole kind of UK just falls to standstill. And the amount of people that I've seen who, especially elderly people who have kind of, by keeping warm, they've gone into a local supermarket, or it's like, I couldn't understand that, people are around, and I said to my daughter, oh, go and get this woman. I said, tell her she can come here. She can have a hot cup of tea. She can have a shower. She can have a bed to sleep in if she needed to. It is about that kind of love thy neighbor, go that extra mile, because you never know, like that big brother watching you. It's all being watched. It was how it's not about what you do, it's about why you do something. What is the motive and the intention behind everything that you do? Because that is what's getting recorded. It's not about why, what you've got money wise, financial wise, but it's about why you crave something, why you want that. And this is pretty much what I've kind of put it is about, the self-esteem, and really kind of if the biggest kind of thing with self-esteem and why people are so sick is to do with self-esteem. It's about having that inner knowing that you have to go in within you and listen to the messages, your higher self, that is being given back to you. Because we don't always, and I know that myself. I've been told for weeks to slow down, but have I slowed down? No. And then when I don't slow down, I get a cold, or I get no voice.
Right.
So it's about listening to those inner knowings. We know when we're being guided to eat healthily, get up, go for a walk, put your phone down, ring that person, that kind of thing. But we don't always kind of follow it, do we?
Eventually we do, and
Yeah, when the rug is pulled from under us.
exactly when it gets too hard.
Yeah,
Yes.
We can do it at the beginning when the intuition comes through and when it's easy and delightful to
Right.
exactly.
follow it.
Yeah, we always get guidance on, you need to leave that job, or you need to leave that relationship. And, when we get these guidance, we're like, oh no, it'll be better, or no, well, usually what happens is you either get sacked, or something happens that will make you. And this is why I love astrology so much, because it is literally written in the stars. Yes, we have our free will. We can choose where we want to go. But ultimately, if you look at a chart, because your chart is a birth representation of the minute you take your first breath to the minute you take your last breath, nothing changes in that chart. What happens are the planetary transits that run alongside it. So when you kind of look at, yes, it's there in my chart. I've always known it's there. But like I say, you get that free will to kind of choose what you want to go. But ultimately, you usually get pulled back into the what you kind of wanted to learn in this lifetime anyway. That's what
Because
I feel anyway.
the way of looking at our birth chart is, I mean, that's what our soul planned. So, I mean, that's why that's the way it's gonna play out. And then it's just how much is the human persona
Yeah,
be balanced, and how much can we balance the ego to, be the
exactly.
planet gracious as we can.
Absolutely. And I think the last power is, yeah, how to find your cherished tribe. Um, I kind of put sort of, look for people who share your values and encourage your growth. It's all about an empowerment and, excuse me, empowering others. Somebody comes to you, but it's also that self-esteem. True self-esteem is knowing within yourself those intuitive hits that you get instantly, and then you act on them. Because not everybody is going to have your best interest. If you've been given a really fantastic opportunity, not everybody's going to be happy for you because they've got their own agendas and they've got their own kind of sort of connotations to that job role or whatever that opportunity is. So it's about finding those people who share your values, who, encourage you, go for it, and be vulnerable. Allow yourself to be seen for who you are, not who you think you should be. Social media has a huge kind of platform of not presenting the truth. And, we look at kind of things on social media and we think, oh my God, they've got such a wonderful life. But we don't know what's going on behind closed doors. So it is about, who be you, be true to you, and people will come to you. And if people leave you, well, then that's up to them. I always kind of look at that. I used to, people used to cling on, hold on, oh, they've left me. Well, my answer to that is sometimes, well, let them go. You know, you don't know what their soul contract is in this lifetime. Maybe they were just to be with you for a couple of weeks, a day, a month, a year, or to have a child together. You don't know what that other person is kind of incarnated to do in this lifetime. So take the pressure and let them go. And celebrate together, share your wins and celebrate the success of those around you. And strength is amplified when you stand together. And this is how I feel that we are all moving forward, is to be a galactic community. That is the way that it's going, a galactic community, not just one kind of that separation of the UK, the US, all those individuals. No, one huge galactic community. We won't see it in our lifetime, but that is the way and I feel this is the way that we're almost kind of planting those seeds for the next generation to come. And yeah, it's going to be bumpy, but like you said earlier on, Greg, love is the highest. And when you've got love, compassion, and support for one another, you're always going to stand together.
Right. And the strength in numbers applies to how many people are vibing with the love vibe. You're
Hey,
loving each other, and it's kind of that idea that, like you were saying earlier, if you treat someone with compassion and love, it changes them, and they
yeah.
go off and they start that chain reaction of
It's
of
like
love
that
with other
domino
people
effect.
versus the other way around, right? So it's, yeah, Wendy and I did a whole episode on how to start the revolution of love, and that's exactly what we talked about, because I run a online group healing circle, and that came in through the guides, where the guides basically said, never miss an opportunity in your life to either teach or experience love,
I
because
love
of the
that.
chain reaction effect that it has. And you illustrated it perfectly when you were talking about the person who had the near-death experience, showing what happens when you just show a bit of kindness to someone. You don't know how big that can be to somebody when they go home and share it with their loved ones, versus the other way around. Let's say flipped somebody off in traffic, and then they're going
Yep,
to go and talk about what a jerk you were. And
absolutely.
that's completely the other opposite end of the spectrum. So we need to be aware of that, and just show kindness to every single person every minute of the day.
Oh
because
yeah, especially when you wake up in the morning, because you know yourself, if you've woken up, and I'm very much a routine person. I like to get up, I go for a walk, and you know that kind of sets my day for me. And that walking, um, I kind of call it my mindful meditation because I set my intentions for the day. But if that doesn't go to plan, and something kind of goes, I'm pretty much flexible in like I'll go for a walk sometime during that day.
Mhm.
But you often find that if you set something in motion, it will set the stage for the day. But if things don't go to plan, you got up late or you're rushing, and then you often find when you're rushing, you hit loads of traffic, and then there's all this kind of energy around you because you can feel it and you can feel that it's a collective. And as I say, if we go back to that adage of what is one is within the whole. So whatever is going on within you is a mirror effect of everybody. And going back to what you just said about the podcast, you know, the one that you just did about the revolution, the last time Saturn was in Pisces was in 1995, but prior to that, it was in the early 1960s,
Mm.
which was all about the spiritual revolution
Yeah.
and what was happening, and especially the movement into the new age. You know, the 60s and the 70s was very much about that awakening and moving away from the church, moving away into finding new ways of seeking, you know, that higher spiritual connection. And this is what I can kind of feel is happening, is going to, and you know, history never lies. If you look back at it all, it's all, and the universe is very much working in sort of parallel lines. You know, what is going on? I mean, I'm not going to go down the politics route, but you know, what's going on in the in the US has upset a lot of people. But if you look at it from the top of the penthouse, you get a different perspective of what is happening because Pluto is still in Capricorn and it doesn't move in, no matter what mainstream Western astrology says, we're in the age of Aquarius. No, we're not anywhere near the age of Aquarius yet. Pluto doesn't move into Aquarius until 2041.
Mm.
Pluto has got a lot of years left in Capricorn, basically dismantling the structure, the political systems. Things have got to come down to crumble before we move into the age of Aquarius and start to build this galactic community. Things are going to happen, and it is very much like that chessboard piece. I always see them as those, you know, those hands of the gods manipulating us behind the scenes. This is what's happening. Things have to crumble, structures, and we see an rise in cryptocurrency. The way that finances is happening, it's moving, it's coming in whether we like it or not. But you either move with the tide or you get left behind. So it's about going with it and allowing. I just kind of look at it and think I can just see what is happening, and just yes, it is a bit of a madness, but you have to trust in in a higher power. They know what they're doing.
Right.
We just have to kind of trust that it's all unfolding. It's somehow,
Yep.
but it is.
Yes. Oh, well, thank you, Debbie. I just want to
You're so
thank
welcome.
you.
You're so
Yes,
welcome.
This
that was great. Just a
it was
lot to think about.
fantastic, fantastic.
Yeah, there's a lot. Yeah, it's and so there's so much more you can talk about, but it's only kind of you've only got like you don't want to overload people.
That sets the
So
stage really well.
Yeah.
So thank you. Thank you so
yeah,
much for
just
that.
let see whatever unfolds.
Right, right, exactly. And I would just like to make everyone aware that you are welcome to join me for some upcoming events that I have. And I'm going to be doing a live channeling with the Ascended Masters and Angels. That's an ongoing series. I'll be doing a group Zoom call on what is my life purpose, because that is a top question so many people have, and also how to meet and start working with your spirit guide. And you can go to my website, which is wendyrosewilliams.com, and go to the events tab. And there you will find how to register for those affordable, fun, uplifting group classes that we can do together. And my most recent book, Regression Healing 2, Joe and Marilyn, it's now available in audiobook format as well as in paperback and on Kindle. And there is a chapter, the end of the book is actually information and work that I did with Debbie. So that's just kind of the perfect
Yeah.
to this, where she helped look at some astrology and numerology also from my past life, and then just like the passing over of the torch,
Yeah.
because the baton it needs to be
Yeah.
passed because it's never done. um,
Yeah.
that's meant to
Exactly.
be a good thing. That's not meant to be exhausting or overwhelming. It's just there's always just new opportunities and new moments to choose to be kind and to choose to help our neighbor and just understand, because I do love your summary of that Nancy Rhine's life review, and it's nothing to do with how many degrees did you get, and all the
Yeah.
artificial, what's your house worth, these accumulated possessions. It's like, how did you treat a person when you thought no one was watching? Like that excellent example with the store owner, with the clerk, etc.
Yeah.
So it's those little moments. I think that's what life is really made up of, is those wonderful little moments, and to just try and be as present in them as we can versus being glued to the phone or the screens where we're just missing the moment. So,
Yeah. And that's what she said. It was just a heartwarming to watch her talk about it. But that she said, her guides were saying it's the tiny, tiny things that you think that nobody's gonna care about. Like you said, Greg, flicking the keys to somebody, doing all these kind of just being. And I've come from a retail background, so I know how how horrible it is when you've got people screaming at you, and you just kind of, and yet it does. If it sets that's you in a bad mood, then you take that back home with you. And I don't know how many times I've gone home and taken my work home with me. And my husband has always said to me, "Your work stays at 5 o'clock where you clocked off." And yeah, so that was a good reminder of me of kind of, yeah, just to be kind and just say hello. There's no harm in saying, if they don't say hello back, that's okay. But
right, right. And to be kind to ourselves.
ah, exactly. And that's what she said. It's not about everybody else, it's about you as well. The words that you say to yourself. Be kind to you. Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. So please join us on January 13th for the next Waking Up Spiritually podcast. And we've included the link to do that for those of you who are looking at this as a PowerPoint. Some of you may be listening to the podcast apps, etc. And we did include the link to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And thank you for rating and reviewing us on Apple iTunes or wherever you choose to listen to your podcasts, because that's so helpful for people to be able to find us. And check out Gregg's wonderful services, as well as his book, The Gratitude Curve, at his website, which is Gregg, GreggKirk.com. And please visit me at my website, which is wendyrosewilliams.com. So thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you all, and just looking forward to a new year, and just enjoying the ride.
See
Take
you all
care.
next year. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Debbie.
Now.
No
Bye-bye.
worries. Bye.